Hi everyone, welcome to Project Geospatial. In this episode of Industry Limelight, we have the pleasure of introducing Rebellion Defense. Before we discuss who the company is and what they do, let's introduce our guests. From Rebellion Defense, we have Tony Ierardi and Eric Schoonover. Tony, give us some deeper insights to who you are before passing the baton over to Eric.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Adam. And to you and your listeners and viewers, thanks for having Eric and I on. I'm Tony Ierardi. I retired from the U.S. Army last summer, spent time both as an operational officer in the Army, commanded units at all levels to the division level. And my final assignment was as the Joint Staff Director, J8, where I served in support of the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the Secretary in the areas of requirements and resources. After departing the military, I joined Rebellion Defense in December and have been working as the Director of Partnerships for Rebellion Defense. And we'll get a little bit more into that in a moment. And I'll pass it over to my partner, Eric.
Hey, my name is Eric Schoonover. Happy to be here, Adam. My background is as a software engineer. I started my career at Microsoft and Netflix and did some startups in the Silicon Valley area, the West Coast there in California, and then in Seattle, where I grew up. And then came over to government to work with the United States Digital Service and the Defense Digital Service, where I got exposed to many of the kind of like large software acquisition problems that the DoD has. At the Defense Digital Service, I ran the Air Force portfolio and worked on programs like GPS OCX and Move.mil and Kessel Run.
Awesome. Well, thanks both of you for the brief introductions. So let's get right into it. Tony, can you tell us who Rebellion Defense is and what the mission of the company and why it was founded?
Sure. So Rebellion Defense is a software products company oriented on defense and national security. Essentially, Rebellion Defense helps defense and national security customers unlock the power of their data by securing, analyzing, organizing, and connecting data, and allowing these mission owners in defense and national security to achieve success by making decisions better and faster. The founding of the company is really based on the notion that technology expertise and really the capabilities inherent in commercial technology is brought to bear inside the national defense or national security and defense communities to take on tough problems. And so our company was founded by Chris Lynch, former director of the Defense Digital Service, Nicole Camarillo, and Oliver Lewis, all three with technology and national security backgrounds, who also have the ability to reach out to experts in technology from Silicon Valley and other places to come in and address the software challenges and opportunities in the defense space in support of mission owners to move forward and enable those missions.
Awesome, thanks. So to kind of dive a little bit into that's because there's a lot to unfold there with the type of business model you can have. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, first, I think it's also important to point out that Chris was the inaugural director of the Defense Digital Service, and then Secretary Carter at that time in the 2016 timeframe appointed Chris as the director of the Defense Digital Service to bring different ways of approaching software challenges, software culture, and ways of addressing software related challenges in the department. Chris and the team that was founded brought in dozens of experts from throughout the United States and oriented on this problem. This came from the United States Digital Service, which was founded in the 2013-2014 timeframe. And what Chris was able to do is to have teams that were formed. We heard Eric was with the Air Force, teams that were formed to go out and assist and orient on issues related to software, to focus on missions that are important to the warfighters of the Department of Defense and make a real impact. It really forms the basis for what was the experience that brought rebellion defense into being, where the ideas of working with users and iterating on problems that are software based, where missions can be enabled by the best technologists, the best software engineers, and ideas that are important to bring to bear are in play.
So understanding the deep dive into these mission problems from bringing in these experts, you've also garnered a lot of interest from different investors in your company too. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Right. The mission's fortified by relationships and investors that include Eric Schmidt, Nick Bine from Venrock, Ted Schlein from Kleiner Perkins, James Murdoch, and others that have an interest in technology being a real enabler to defense and national security. That rebellion defense would be a way for the best to be brought to bear, the smartest minds on these tough problems, right? That the department is earnestly trying to take on and move forward. So it's important to know that backing exists, and we're fortunate to have it, and actually looking forward to being able to continue to exploit the opportunities in front of us.
Excellent. And to dive into more about what makes your company unique and beyond just the business model, let's talk about what the needs and missions you're looking to address, and why is the AI and machine learning model, how is that integrated into what you do? That's a pretty common topic within today's industry. Are you taking advantage of it, and in what way is that integrated with the mission problems you're addressing?
Yeah, Eric, I'll just ask you, if you don't mind, to take that one.
Yeah, sure. So we've got 3 product areas that we build technology in for the Department of Defense and the IC community. Tony mentioned them a little bit earlier. We call them analyze, secure, and transport. And I'll go into, you can ask me whatever questions you want about them, but ultimately, all of these software solutions that we're building, all of these products that we're building and fielding on behalf of the department, we leverage AI as kind of a fundamental capability inside of those products to make sure that they scale to the needs of the department. So like, as we observe the changing mission requirements in the analyze space, for instance, building tools, ISR tools for the Joint Force, we just see massive amounts of data coming into the organization, and they're unable to really truly process that data in a reliable way. And the amount of data that's coming in is ever increasing, especially when you look at all of the commercial data that's starting to be produced in the space domain. And so we work shoulder to shoulder with analysts to understand what kind of assertions they're making, what things they're looking for, or what things they're not looking for. And then we build and train AI models that we can apply to that data and keep them focused on what actually matters.
Okay. Can you give us an example of, not to dive too deep in the weeds there for specific products, but I am curious of, is it something that you bring in external data sets to create label yourself, or are these models built internally, or they outsource, or do you let your customers help you build the models for your specific use cases?
We have different cases where all of those different ways of producing a trained model are leveraged within our mission set, right? So we have some cases where we've got to come alongside the customer and help them label and train models within classified environments for applying to missions that data is relevant to, right? So in those cases, we can't ship the data out. We can't necessarily leverage third-party models because you need that data. So we've got all the way from that, which we're like bringing in the tools that we use to label and train models and running them in the customer environment and then producing a model in that environment. We have our own models that we've produced on unclassified data outside of customer environments. We also are happy to integrate third-party technology. Like there's tons of great models out there that we are not going to compete with. And so really our products, our applications are AI enabled, but it is not, we're not specifically orienting those just to rebellion defense AI. It's really any AI that can be leveraged to improve the effectiveness of the analyst.
Okay. And you have, you mentioned these specific product lines, analyze, secure, and transport. Can you talk to me a little bit more about what, you touched on the analyze part, but can you talk to me a little bit more what secure and transport actually mean? Because, just hearing them in a general form, I think, maybe software security or cyber security, or maybe even transport, that's pretty broad. What can you define those a little bit more?
Sure. So if you take everything that we build together, all the products that we build together, we're really building a JADC2 platform. And when we look at the joint all domain command and control problem set, we have identified 3 areas of focus. We call that analyze, secure, and transport. You just went over them. So analyze, what is that about? That is about once we have data, how do we understand that data, and how do we get the mission focused on the data that actually matters? How do we distribute that data to the analysts or the operators that need it for effect? Secure is focused on just making sure that when we have the data, it is stored and managed in a secure way, that the network owner understands their exposure and isn't having to rely on periodic red teaming events to get good information about what their cybersecurity posture is. And then we have transport, which is a collection of technologies that is focused on moving data in a secure fashion from one place to another. Sometimes that's between, at a specific classification across different releasabilities. Sometimes it's across different classifications. A lot of times you'll hear the customer talk about these problems as cross-domain problems.
And just to back up a little bit to kind of define for our audience, I myself from the Air Force background understand what red teaming is, but red teaming is specifically kind of simulating an enemy incursion, right, from different perspectives, and developing security methods behind those possible security threats. Correct?
That's right. So red teaming is taking some friendly hackers and asking them to attack your network, but instead of actually stealing things, just letting you know when they could have stolen something, right? And then explaining how they got to that outcome. And so a lot of our focus in that secure portfolio is building technologies that facilitate automated red teaming.
Great. Now, this sounds overall, I think you mentioned this, Tony, but this is overall a software as a service model. Can you tell us why you as a Rebellion Defense as a company has chosen this route over other traditional models?
Yeah. So this software as a service is our delivery model. So all the products we build, we field on behalf of the customer and operate on behalf of the customer in their environments, much like a SaaS. So why we think that matters a lot is the customer gets an operational product. They don't just get a piece of technology that then they have to make operational. And we get a environment that we can scale to meet the needs of the customer, independent of the customer's acquisition process. We also are able to provide our engineering teams with continuous delivery pipelines. So if you look at what's special about the Air Force programs like Platform One and Kessel Run and Kobayashi Maru and Space Force, they recognize that to deliver great warfighting software, you have to be able to change that software quickly and have an engineering team and engineering capability that's able to react to changing mission requirements. We believe that this delivery model provides those capabilities to our engineering teams, and we think that's critical to our success and the customer's mission success.
No, great. And I think that's something that needs to be highlighted because not just from a startup perspective, but I think there's a lot of insight to be learned by why companies choose different business models like software as a service, as opposed to maybe something solely as professional services. People who are experts to just dive in, who are trying to create these things in house, rather than or even trying to produce government COTS or GOT software, right? So, with that said, can you talk about why that is also advantageous for your investors from a commercial perspective beyond just the defense industry? Is that an area that your investors are interested in as well?
The group of investors that we've brought together to support this company see the incredible value and the incredible mission that's represented by the DoD and the IC. And I don't, this is Eric Schoonover talking, but I don't think we're going to be fully addressing or fully exploiting that market and moving into a commercial space anytime soon. I think the way we probably grow beyond the DoD is into Five Eye equivalents. So we already have an office out in London in the UK working with the MOD. And I expect that's where you'll see Rebellion expand beyond the DoD versus expanding into the commercial marketplace. I really believe that there are technical mission problems within the DoD that can be uniquely solved by software, but that software, that solution, does not necessarily have a commercial marketplace outside of defense.
Understood. No, once again, thank you for answering that question. And so I want to give you all an opportunity to discuss if some of the Rebellion's value proposition as we wrap up this interview. Do you have anything to say on that?
I'd say it's the ability to have. Well, let me just add, it's the ability to have the best engineers, ones with background in commercial tech that have worked on some of the iconic software projects, whether it be Netflix, Twitter, etc. Knowledgeable people about defense and national security together, working with the customer and working with mission owners and warfighters and leaders in the Department of Defense and the national security agencies, and iterating on their software problems, bringing new ways to address them, both in terms of the technology itself, as well as ways to actually deliver the capabilities to them to help them achieve their objectives. And I didn't mention this. I probably need to also note that we are a Washington, D.C. based company. Eric mentioned with an office and indeed a team in London, as well as an office in Seattle. And so we anticipate, being able to leverage, especially in the United Kingdom, that right there, to be working closely with our allies in England or in United Kingdom.
So what's your technology stack built off as well? So I think that's also not just your locations, but you mentioned a lot of maybe products and software as a service, but in machine learning. So are you built off of Amazon, Google, Azure services? What do people need to know that you fit into the overall government, we'll call it roadmap for, maybe even cloud infrastructure?
Yeah, all of our software is implemented and targets commercial cloud runtime environments. What that means practically is AWS or Azure for this customer set. And so we've got technology running in various AWS environments. We have it running on the forward deployed on the tactical edge, using Snowball edge devices and snow cones and things like that, which is Amazon's commercial cloud like edge infrastructure.
Excellent. And if individuals or companies want to get a hold of you, what's the best way of doing that?
We have the website rebelliondefense.com or contact me at tony@rebelliondefense.com.
Awesome. Are you looking to partner with other small businesses and companies out there for some of these endeavors that you're working on right now, or can you maybe talk about maybe the relationship with other companies out there with the government?
Just in general, where the mission need presents itself, it's a big mission space, and if the need to do that, if the opportunity is right, of course, we'll be amenable to discuss those missions with other companies and with other stakeholders in the mission space.
Well, Eric, Tony, once again, I appreciate it. Is there any last notes and messages you want to send to our audience before we finally wrap up?
Recognize this is an important mission. The Department of Defense and the national security agencies, having been a part of that personally, and now with folks who have also shared some time in that realm, recognize the importance of the mission. And we want to be able to contribute to that in a meaningful way. There are phenomenal folks in the software business that are prepared to come and contribute to that mission and are being brought to bear on that mission in meaningful ways. So appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you today, Adam. And Eric and I are grateful to be able to do that.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Tony. This is Adam Simmons with Project Geospatial, introducing Rebellion Defense with Tony Ierardi and Eric Schoonover. Thanks, everybody, for watching.